Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing on their last day of PAX?
Woo! I see everyone has survived 4 days.
The leg pain scale, where were sevens at, huh? 7 out of 10 pain? Yeah, okay. Well,
Wow.
You're here because of one of three reasons. One, you're legally obligated, which is only Christine Kenson right there. You saw the schedule, you were bored, and you just decided to come here for some reason. Or you have the absolute best taste in video games, that being Japanese role-playing games. We're here to talk about remasters, and we're gonna do some intro, and we're gonna kind of talk about like the expectations of what you should expect from this panel, and go from there. So my name is Cameron Hawkins. I do a JRPG podcast called Party Chat, a JRPG podcast with the man in the beanie right there, Kevin Kenson, my party partner. And our podcast is primarily like focusing on the news, talking about the weekly news, what we've been playing, and then a topic of the show. We've been podcasting since the beginning of the year, so it's, we're still a young podcast, but very passionate, and I think we have great conversation. We have other folks with their own podcasts that they're going to talk about their own things now.
Hi, I'm Branden. I run the YouTube channel Just the Gems, where I talk about JRPGs, but also I'm one of the co-hosts of the JRPG Pursuit podcast, which is also a podcast about JRPGs. And look at us, we're coexisting peacefully. We love each other.
For now.
For now.
Rising tide, all ships. It's good.
That's right. So we put out episodes every week, and we tend to pick a particular topic and kind of do a deep dive on that. So if you are interested in JRPGs as a general subject, I hope you will check out the show. Now, do we want everyone else to just introduce ourselves?
Yeah, sure.
Good.
We'll go
down the line.
We'll just go this way. So my name is Kevin Kenson. As my party partner Cam said earlier, I'm the other half of Party Chat, a JRPG pod. It's possible, I don't know if anyone here knows other stuff I do. I've actually been on YouTube for a while, more talking kind of tech side of things, lots of gaming tech, controllers, accessories, that kind of deal. But really my passion is the actual games themselves, particularly JRPGs. That is a lot of formative stuff for me. And so when Cam hit me up right before the end of last year, like, hey, do you want me to do a JRPG podcast? I was like, yes, let's do it. So here we are now. This is also actually my first panel, ever, by the way. They just found this out.
We did.
You're doing great already. All right, so my name's Abdallah, and I am one of the co-hosts of the JRPG Pursuit with Branden and Emily. I have my own channel, which I also started up not too long ago, called Dallah Games, where I talk about JRPGs and other things that I find interesting. I get to kind of branch out a little bit on there rather than just talking about JRPGs.
You didn't pigeonhole yourselves like a genius.
Yeah, I'm slowly being pigeonholed automatically though, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
That's just YouTube, baby.
I know it's a beast, but yes, it's pretty amazing because we've been doing the podcast for about we just hit our 1 year anniversary a little while ago, so it's been a wild ride, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm the last member of the JRPG Pursuit podcast. I'm Emily, and I run the channel Orbalology, where I like to talk about, curated collecting, especially about JRPGs, which is my favorite genre to collect for. And I also recently got into streaming and beating games on there. But it's been, I think, a wild ride these last 3-ish years of content creation. But anyway.
Yeah, 3 years.
Well, let's talk about today's topic, though.
Yes, so we conveniently created a QR code for all of our links to things, so if you want to subscribe to any of our YouTube channels or anything like that, that QR will take you to all of those. So basically how this is going to be structured, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of remasters, the good versus the bad examples of remasters, as well as kind of what we hope to see in the future of remasters. But before we do that, I'm going to hijack this panel for like 2 minutes. Don't worry, Branden, Kevin, and Dalla. I already talked to Emily about this, and the only other person that knows about this is Christine. Everybody, me and Kevin have some business that we have to resolve, and you guys are gonna help us. So we normally have pretty inline takes with each other, but there's one topic that we are on the opposite sides of. And I'm not going to tell you which side, who's on what side, but I need y'all to answer this question for us.
This better not be what I think it is.
It is exactly what you think it is. So we're going to turn around, me and Kevin be a team player here, we're going to turn around.
I already know the answer.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're resolving this now. And the JRPG Pursuit are going to see your votes by hand raises only. We're not doing loud, we're hand raises. If you are unable to raise your hand for any reason, then you can hold up 2 hands for that other person. But outside of that, 1 hand raise, please. And so turn around, Kevin. So the question is, are Souls-likes JRPGs? If you think Souls-likes are a JRPG, classify as a JRPG, please raise your hand right now.
All right. Who should be counting?
Okay.
Just eyeball it. Just eyeball.
Eyeball.
You're good.
Yeah, I got it.
Eyeballing.
You got it?
We're not counting. That would be way too long. Now,
Okay.
you
I don't know.
lower your hands. Raise your hands if you think Souls-likes are not classified or should not be classified as JRPGs.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I think we have a resounding answer.
I think we do.
Okay.
I think we do.
So what are the results here?
They are not.
They're not.
They are not correct. Okay.
Yeah.
So
By about a ratio of 2 to 1.
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So I brought something here for me and Kevin to wear for the rest of the panel here.
I totally forgot you were getting us custom shirts.
Cameron is right. Souls-likes aren't JRPGs. And so I have one for me, and I have one for Kevin to wear.
Yeah, no, I got it.
No, you got the Kevin is right. No. And I was a team player here. I made a Kevin is right. It wasn't like some big jab. I spent $50 on 2 shirts that I knew we were likely not going to wear at this panel. So, team player here.
I will say, I'm very thankful this is actually what it was, because I thought you were about to do another SpongeBob argument for like the 30th
Oh, no.
no.
There's this whole thing where Kevin never watched SpongeBob, and I'm a SpongeBob encyclopedia. So, anyway. Remasters, everybody. So we're talking about like the pros and cons of remasters.
Yeah.
And
Well, before we get into that, though, I think we need to sit down and set the standard of like what is a remaster versus
define
what is a
correct.
remake and things like that. So at the end of the day, like remasters and remakes, there's a huge spectrum, I think.
Yeah.
Where you have like the remasters that fit at the lowest part of the spectrum. You have like a port. Maybe some HD, like it's been up-res to like 1080p or 4K, whatever it is. And then you have like the whole aspect of like, all right, you have it also up-resed, textures maybe updated, and then as well as quality of life.
Quality of life improvements.
Yeah, and as you said, it's a spectrum, right? There's all kinds of kind of weird cases that throw wrenches in all of this. I think a great recent example is Rito Remastered, where they call it remastered. Like, that's in the name. But they completely redid the combat to match more like the later Rito entry. They got rid of the pre-rendered backgrounds and actually made like 3D environments that it takes place in the background. So it's like, yeah, they're calling it remastered, and a lot of stuff is maintained, but it also is pretty heavily different.
Maybe more like a remake.
Maybe more like a remake.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the publisher's fault for all of this confusion.
So much
at the end of the
confusion.
day.
What's a definitive edition?
keep-
What's a HD remaster?
That's the problem when you don't have definitions of things. It's like you can call it whatever you want, and we all just have to figure it out.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right?
much like what is and is not a JRPG.
that's correct.
We're not getting into that today.
We kind of already did, but
Well, I mean, we're not going too deep into that.
No.
Further.
Yeah.
But no, I think, I like to use the Atlas spectrum of like good JR, like, of the remaster, right? Where you get like SMT3, which is like the most bare minimum, like almost that a remaster can be, where it's like, oh yeah, we up-res things a little bit, a compressed audio, but sure. And then you have Rito Remastered, like you said, Kevin, where it is as close to a remake as it can be, but it technically isn't because it's still the exact, like it's the same game, like they just added some really significant things, like they don't have like the backgrounds and the environments like they did in that one. And so, yeah, I think that is a really great spectrum to like be like, oh, these are all remasters, but to varying different degrees or like effort that's put into them.
And as we get into like the remakes, there's graphical remakes, like let's say Star Ocean 2. They did a full-on graphical remake of that, but more or less the gameplay is about the same. They did a little bit of tweaking here and there and kind of like making it an easier process, but underlying gameplay is the same. But the graphics are all.
And then you have like a Trails in the Sky First Chapter remake where not only is it completely redone graphically, but
everything,
audio, gameplay, everything is completely brand new. So I think, bottom line is if you ask 10 different people the definition of a remaster, you're probably gonna get like 10 different definitions. But for the purposes of this discussion, that's kind of how we're thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so what are some of the pros that come with a JRPG remake? I think that like some of the easy ones are just like availability, right? Like JRPGs are just harder genre of games to like be playable, and that have gotten more and more accessible over time, which has been great. I know, just speaking for myself as someone who like definitely grew more into the JRPG, like I grew up with Pokemon, loved Pokemon, and loved Kingdom Hearts, played a bit of Final Fantasy, and then there was definitely a point in my life where I didn't really play a whole lot of JRPGs, and then like got to like the PS4, like end of the PS3 era, and I was like, okay, I really want to get back into this. And it was just so hard because we didn't start getting a lot of these remasters until the past console generation, and now it's like starting to become a lot easier. And so the more that they come, I'm just like, the quality like does matter, but I'm just like happy that it's accessible at the end of the day.
Accessibility is a big one, and related to that is cost. Using the Rido example, that game was going for $200+ for quite a while there, and the sequel even more so. So it's like now you can get the fundamental Rido experience for retail MSRP, right?
Yeah, or even
less.
earlier this year was Suikoden.
Yeah.
Because like Suikoden 2 is like over $200 easy on its own.
Yes.
And
crazy.
There was ways to get it digitally, like on PS3 specifically through the store, but even that's now less accessible. And so that collection is giving you both those games, which you can argue whether or not it's the definitive best way to experience them, but it's an option, right?
Yeah.
And playing to accessibility too, having the modern TV option.
Sure.
We don't all want to or own like a CRT TV to have the best version of the originals to be displayed, or we don't want to pull out our dusty old maybe system that we haven't touched in years, like myself. That's my old PS2, sadly.
And just the systems themselves are.
They do break down over time.
They're getting older and everything.
You might not have like a repair store like around the corner to help maintain that.
Yeah, and then so one of the things that I think about, and I've thought about recently, especially this year, as I've been playing some new, like technically remastered JRPGs for the first time, is a potential second life of like conversation, right?
Yeah.
Because recently I played Final Fantasy II, and I loved it. Like I played it through the Pixel remaster.
That's why you loved it.
I loved. No, I know. But that's the thing. Is like it's for most people, it's like one of, if not the worst Final Fantasy. But I think the Pixel remaster did a lot of quality of life improvements to make that game a lot more digestible. And I really loved that game. And I think that if for people that like haven't played the Pixel remaster version of 2 and have played 2 in the past, like I think that's a game that is worth revisiting. And I think that you're going to like really enjoy yourself that time around.
Yeah, and I think breathing life into these games too. Like maybe they were kind of overlooked when they were initially released. For example, Final Fantasy Tactics. I think a lot of people kind of missed out on that because Final Fantasy VII came out around the same time. So it's nice to see that coming out very soon for us.
Or they thought it was too hard because they were babies.
There was that too.
Branden, you said it was too hard earlier today, so.
Nuh-uh.
Not that.
No, but like in terms of pros, like you have this idea of that, okay, like it's an opportunity for devs and publishers to understand, is there still a market for these series? So like, with Suikoden coming, Remaster 1 and 2, as we start to get in for the mobile game, like Konami might start seeing that sales are picking up and things like that. They might end up actually making a new game, and so there's a possibility that might happen.
That is at least the carrot they sometimes dangle.
Yeah,
in front of
they
the
try
fandom.
to.
Like there's a conscious effort there a bit, but
Hopefully.
also I want to believe.
I want to.
It's not a perfect strategy, but it does make a difference. Like if you want a new game in a series, and they put out a remaster, as long as it's not trash, I'll buy it because I want that, I want to
still
send a
hope.
message that that series is worth keeping up.
And reviving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With new entries.
And to kind of reverse that now, like we've talked about some cons. I think we should talk about the cons of that situation since we talked about the pros. And so the cons, like I look at it from a perspective of like remaster, you have the word master in that. So a master item of something, let's say a master of a media, is like the most definitive version of that media. And so what you expect from a remaster is that whatever you're getting is the definitive version of that game. And so when you're when you get these games that release and they either don't have the same either like features or they lose a little bit of the design that were expected from those games, you start to kind of determine, is this actually the most definitive way, or do you actually have to still go back to that original version to experience it?
Especially if they cut content or something like
Yeah.
that.
Cut content, bad frame rates.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think a great example that you actually brought up, we were talking about right before this all started. Because there's examples of bad ones where we get into performance and frame rates. I think Tales of Symphonia for certain platforms is a very popular one to go to. But I think also in the case of certain changes in artistic direction, Secret of Mana is a very large one because I absolutely adore the way that game looks on the SNES, and you can still play that version, thankfully, on Switch at least with the collection. But they did do a remaster, remake, whatever term you want to use, for PlayStation, where they did a 3D look, and it's fine. Like, you can play that version. I'm not gonna whatever.
I think that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said about that version of the game. It's fine. You can play it.
Yeah, it's
It
it's
exists.
viable. Yeah, but absolutely, does it not preserve the look and feel of that SNES version?
I think Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories is another great example of that, where the remake is just like,
for
do not
PS2,
like, if you can in any way play the original over the remake that comes in the collection, like, please do, because I think that it just guts all of the charm for like, oh yeah, you get voice acting in between the scenes, which is nice, but I don't know.
The trade-offs.
No trade-offs, exactly.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely something to be said for losing like the original version of a thing, because the hope with a remaster is that we are in some way preserving or at least keeping the main spirit alive of the thing that people like and giving a way to play it, and that doesn't always happen. And so you run into this issue where it's like, it's great, there's still a way to play this, but people might not be getting the right experience out of it. Another one we've talked about a few times is World Ends With You, right? Where they ported that to Switch, and they had to get rid of the combat system because it was a very unique thing to DS that you can't translate into other experiences, or at least it would be significantly more difficult to do. And there are people that played that version first. I'm sure they enjoyed it, but there is a very unique, different experience that comes from that DS one that is just lost playing it elsewhere.
Agreed. What are some of the better side of remasters that, like, some examples that remasters that y'all loved that you think that are some great examples of how to do them right?
I think the Lunar remasters.
Yes.
Yes, I played that
absolutely.
earlier this year for the first time.
Yeah,
Those have
because
been,
like
pretty well
I've always
received.
been a big fan of like Lunar and just working designs in general. And granted, it's not the working designs version that we
Right.
got for the remasters, unfortunately. But as the game itself,
Or fortunately, depending on your perspective.
yes, I
Yeah.
guess depending on how you would like to enjoy those games, it is definitely a product of the time. But they did a lot of quality of life improvements. I know, Emily, you recently played it as well, and it was your first time going through the series.
Correct. And I think just a lot of those quality of life enhancements, especially for the battle system, that could get a little tedious over the time, right? Because you're kind of doing the same mechanics over and over and over again. So it was nice to kind of streamline that and just get to the heart of the story. And, just see the charm and just exude from all the characters. It was a lovely experience.
I did wish they fixed the item management system in that game.
Yeah.
It was okay, though.
Yeah.
still.
Other than that, though, it was great.
Yeah, I think just the fast forwarding of
Yes.
mechanic in remasters that have slowly been incorporated
Yeah,
into
speed
new
up battle time, for sure.
JRPGs is such a great addition. Like, arguably the best. Like, I would take more than like a a nice coat of paint, like, yeah, like just make the battles faster. Like, I love turn-based, and turn-based will always be my favorite, but like I think we can also like agree that that adds a lot of time to a lot of playthroughs, because I also just recently played through the Lunar games, and Kevin said like, oh yeah, that was like terribly grindy before they added the the 3 times battle speed, and I totally can see that. I can totally see how long that takes.
Yeah, and I think one of the negatives you hear, a lot of people who don't play turn-based JRPGs, they say, I don't like grinding. It takes too long. Like, I don't have the time for that. So I think incorporating quality of life elements like that definitely maybe is more welcoming to newcomers who are interested in the genre, but they just haven't committed maybe because of time.
Yeah, it's almost like they're, the devs are trying to apologize for their past situations, but like at the same time, it's like you look at it from the perspective of like they're a product of the time, and at the time they tried to kind of pad these games out a little bit more,
Right.
And give them a little bit more time because that's what they valued. The same thing was how like NES games were so hard.
Also with the rental system.
Right,
Also
with
the rental
rentals,
system.
yeah.
Like also, the rental systems made a big deal here.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, similarly, we already talked about Suikoden. Playing that remaster was just like, it's stunning. Like, it's such a good recreation of that game. Obviously widescreen, it's already pretty, but it's like now you get this expanded view and you can run diagonally. I never realized how important that was to me, but my gosh, being able to go in 8 directions.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. But yeah, like just really smart, really well done. Like
I love the graphics for it.
the graphics look great. You can again speed up the battles if you want to. If you don't want to deal with the grind the way we had to back in the old days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish like more remasters did it graphically that way, because they have like those really like sharp pixel characters on a really nice background, instead of smoothing out the characters.
Yeah, no, it's similar to kind of like I think we brought up the Star Ocean 2 remaster remake earlier, that still kept that pixelated design for the characters that was wonderful.
Exactly.
But in a new way, which is cool.
Yeah, I wish they would do that with Xenogears. The Star Ocean 2.
There's still so many.
That's such a good.
be
So many. That's
that
the
would
last
look
part.
amazing.
That's subject 3.
I know,
We're heading.
yeah, yeah.
We're
I'm not going to talk
We're
about
not
that
there
later,
quite
so
yet.
I just want to throw it in there.
Going back to Lunar, another thing that I really like that I wish more of the older, the remasters for older games would do is like offer both versions of the game,
Yes.
where we
Yes.
get like
Yes.
the remastered version and then we get the older
Classic.
version, because again, playing through Lunar, like I was curious as to what the voice acting sounded like, and it's so starkly different. And they changed some of the dialogue, like not anything to make it the characters like characterization any different, but still just like it's like, oh, okay, like it wants me to like play through that version of the game and see like how I feel differently, or like the interpretations of the characters and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, offering both is always like a best case scenario when possible. Like another one that's coming up that is cheating a little bit, but Final Fantasy Tactics
gonna say
Remaster.
that,
They're
yeah.
doing, they have the classic style and they have the remaster one. And the classic is cheating a tiny bit because it is changing the script. It's using the PSP version, which is it adds a little Shakespearean flair, but it also fixes a lot of weird choices, like stop bracelet for stopping someone's breath. So it's very nice when you can have both those options, because as we said, there's the benefit of being able to play that preserved original version that has its certain charms. But then if you want to have like, oh, people really care about voice acting, or maybe a little less brutal of difficulty, here's that way to play this.
Yeah, and there are instances where it doesn't. They didn't need to justify doing 2 separate modes, but like they do like filter, for lack of a better term, right? Where they change to the old graphics and then the new graphics, like Mega Man Battle Network Collection. Like that was basically just a straight up port, but they re-added the visuals, and then they gave you the option to go back to the original on the Game Boy Advance, which I thought was a cool thing to do.
And then Dragon Quest HD 2D with 3, like they added, I think, what was the easy mode? Like you can't die.
You can't die.
You could, if you wanted to experience the story, it was maybe too hard at the time. Like, if you played
I
it
never felt
way
more
back when.
insulted than
Experience the story.
literally can't die.
All options though. All
I'm glad it's there, but like I would have loved an easy mode that like didn't make me feel like a chump, you know?
You just didn't feel embarrassed, like you felt dirty sitting there.
I know, I
playing
wanted
that
a
way.
challenge a little bit, but it was just too hard. I'm bad at video games, though.
Well, that's why for tactics, it's Squire. It's not
Squire.
easy mode. It's
Yeah.
Squire. You're a Squire.
Exactly.
Sounds better.
So, what are some of the things that you guys hope to like see in the future for remasters? Like, games is like obviously a fun thing to talk about, but like certain features that you might feel that either aren't being incorporated to the fullest, or like you haven't really seen yet that you'd love to see. And it could be for like specific games if it makes sense for it. But I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm going to sidestep your specific version of the question real quick, because
Okay.
the one thing that I really always want and hope for is remasters for things that we never really actually got.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You know, we have a couple great examples of this already, like Live Alive. That was one that I absolutely popped off at when it was revealed because,
Right.
Everyone who emulated a lot of fan translation games back in the early 2000s, we outed ourselves when that remaster was announced, because it was like, how is this happening? It didn't even sell well in Japan. Whose idea was this? I love them. I want to give them a hug. And there are so many more games like that. I mean, even just looking at Square specifically and a lot of the stuff they have in their closet. Treasure of the Rudras, like we never got that. Bahamut Lagoon. The Quintet games, getting Terra Enigma in the US, like officially, would be wonderful. I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the emphasis right there.
Not a remaster, but we did get the Cosmic Fantasy games,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
Like those. Yeah.
And this might be like this is a little bit side topic, but I kind of have hope that and this is a remake, but I think it applies to remasters as well. It's like it maybe like shows this the developers, the publishers, like, hey, people want this IP, and then we may get a new entry in that game. Like, I really think that there's a chance we could get like a Super Mario RPG too, like from the
Yeah, I
remake,
love
based off
that.
the remake. A dream, guys, like a dream, but
Justice for Gino.
I think that we're in a reality nowadays where things like that can happen. Where we see, like, for example, at the tactics panel and the game design panel that Yoshi P was on, they were talking about Vagrant Story a lot.
Yes.
And Vagrant Story takes place in Ivalice, and they added the Ivalice Chronicles to Final Fantasy Tactics. Is like, is Vagrant Story next? Like that is, and that's one of the ones that we really want to see happen. So like, I don't mind playing it on my Vita, but I would rather not. Like,
Sound quality of life.
yeah,
We
exactly.
greatly appreciate it there.
Yeah, it could use some accessibility for those who could not handle the battle system.
Also,
I know.
it's
some
Don't
expensive.
look at me. I knew
know.
it. I knew it. I knew he was going to look at me. Told you that in confidence. No, yeah, I'm bad at that game too. Has anybody here played the Japanese NES game Lagrange Point?
Oh.
One, yes. I would really love, if we're just spitballing, future, like, hey, could we have this? I think that would be great. Like, that game is so cool, and it's like one of those that like was popular enough in niche circles that it got a vinyl release of the soundtrack in America. Like, what, I would love to see Lagrange Point. Just throwing that out there. Putting that out in the universe.
Manifested it.
Yeah.
Giving it. All right. And in terms of like Quintet, we were talking. Who mentioned Quintet? You
That was
just
me.
mentioned it.
Yeah,
That was you.
yeah,
That was you. Like Terra Enigma.
Yeah.
We never freaking got that.
Yeah, we never did. No, we got the first two. We got Illusions Guy, and we got My Brain Isn't Working because it's day 4. Soul Blazer.
Soul Blazer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we never got Terra Enigma. Yeah.
I always throw ActRaiser in there too. I know it's not officially part of the trilogy, but
It feels like
it feels.
But that got a
thematically
remake,
similar.
right?
That did
It
get a
did.
remake.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that gives me a little bit of hope. It's like ActRaiser got some love. A Quintet game got some love. I don't know how well it performed,
Yeah.
but just the fact that happened is like, maybe, right?
I might get it. But I think we should take a reverse back because we talked about positive things about. I think we should talk about some of the bad remasters. Not bad. I would say some of them are bad.
Our not so favorite ones.
Not so favorite.
Not so favorite. And that's like, we hinted about it, like Tales of Symphonia.
Symphonia, the frame rate issues.
And I think we needed it because like that was as was early on in the stage of remasters.
Yeah.
They're the,
this
the
recent-
second wave.
recent wave of
Yeah.
Recent
yeah.
wave of
Because
remasters.
Vesperia was the first one, and that. I mean, I wouldn't say it's arguably the best one, but It's better.
I don't think there weren't too many issues with that one, right? To my memory.
On like PlayStation and Xbox, no, but on Switch, well now Switch 2, it runs like at 60 FPS.
Because it had unlocked frame rate.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, Tales of Symphonia, right? Like it's most people's favorite Tales game. It's kind of best to play on GameCube still, and because it's 60 FPS and it's and it doesn't chug and it doesn't have any of these issues, and it's like, and I think that just goes into kind of like a bigger issue of just the game space and like how we're getting a lot of games that are just releasing unfinished, and it's just like, oh, we'll update it over time. Look at
Day one patch.
Pokemon Scarby, right? Like
we will release a whole new hardware to fix this one.
Yeah, exactly. So
$500 patch.
Fruit, like they could put very low effort and people will buy it.
Yeah.
Because we want to support it, but
yeah,
do we want to support these like bad practices? I guess is another.
Yeah, it's
topic.
tough, right? It's like you want to, because JRPG fans are arguably the most passionate gaming fans,
Right.
And we want quality, but we're also like not afraid to be like, no, I'd rather just like find a more difficult and challenging way to play this game because y'all are doing the bare minimum and you could be doing better. And it's I wish that there were instances. I think actually a really great example of this is kind of like just when we get those surveys from like whether it be like Capcom or like which Breath of Fire, please. Capcom or the Team Asano with the Octopath and like most recently the Elliott games, where it's like you give the opportunity to like say like, hey, this is what I think about this, and I wish that we got that more often from game devs.
Yeah.
I wish we knew what they did with them. Do they read them?
Yeah, exactly. We don't even know what really comes out of those. So.
Well, I think something is happening in general because, like, if you look at to go back to Symphonia, people were pretty upset about the frame rate issues and some of the issues that were in that game. And just as an aside, I typically don't care about frame rate. This has never been an issue for me. But when you're talking about an action RPG, it does make a difference. It does. Even I can acknowledge that it does. So it was a problem. But I think since then, their remasters have been on the whole good.
Yeah, Grace's F was
Grace's
great.
F is good. I'm hoping Xillia will be good as well. So it could be that they are actually listening to that feedback and seeing those criticisms. And it makes me optimistic when I see surveys from like Team Asano or whoever. Like I think they actually do want to know. I think they actually do care because even though these may not be the largest investment that the company is making at any given time, a remaster, it still is important to them. It's still an important thing that they're doing. So
Yeah, and to know if they're not doing it in-house, like who they're hiring. Like, should we hire them again for the next one?
Get
That
the
kind of
right
thing.
team on it.
Cool. Are there any other games that we want to mention that we feel like missed the mark when it came to the remasters?
So there's one I always go back to in my head, and I'm cheating a little because this is not a JRPG, but I think this is a great example of when you miss the mark on what you're trying to restore, and it's a pretty legendary example in the remaster space, the Silent Hill trilogy. Right, where vibe and tone is such a central part of that game, and then you get a remaster where we're going to put Comic Sans on signs, and the fog is gone because it's so much clearer now. It's like that wasn't the point. Like visibility is supposed to be kind of rough because I need to be freaking out right now.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to what we were talking about in terms of like the master version of that. It's
Right.
like sometimes they just completely miss the mark of like what the vibe of that game is supposed to be. And that's what we really have to like kind of focus in on the devs and the people who are passionate about that. They need to really kind of like know that game. And that's why we one of the great ones is like if you look at like Monolith Soft and what they did with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition.
And 3D. First the 3D one.
3D, right.
Yeah.
And then the definitive on the Switch.
Which was good.
Yes, that's how I first played it. I loved it. I fell in love with Xenoblade because of that entry point. And they did a whole overhaul in the graphical style and made a lot of accessibility options for the combat.
Yeah.
So a lot of good things.
And I do like when remasters do like something that fits, and this doesn't happen very often, but when they fit something that's specific for like the console that it's on, like the Bravely Default remaster and how like they have these mini games that play with the mouse controls, and like as someone who really did not like jive with that idea when the Switch 2 was announced, and then I played it, I was like, oh, this is actually really fun and intuitive, and I'm kind of I was sold on the idea of like what Nintendo is trying to do with that. I like when remasters just like bring out these non-offensive fun ideas, and it's like, oh, it either works for you or it doesn't, but like either way you're not really like upset about it.
Yeah, I mean, who's mad about Ring a Bell dancing, right? Like, come on, like it's great. Or actually, I love the tone of that the flight minigame, because it's basically
it's so good.
Somehow Ring a Bell, the most unserious one, has to keep things stable while everyone else is the annoying kids in the back seat saying they want the AC on. Like,
it's really great. But yeah, so where do we think that remasters are going? Do you like, we've seen it evolve, we've seen them definitely get better, and I think at the end of the day, it's really just kind of like what people are looking for in a remaster. Like everyone's different, because similar to Branden, like I just want it to run stable. Like it doesn't need to be 60 FPS. Like I just want it to run stable and I'm satisfied. But I also know that that's not the case for everybody, right? And so I'm curious, like, are there certain things that y'all feel are still missing that you would love to see in like certain examples or hypotheticals moving forward?
Yes. I just recently replayed Chrono Cross through the remastered, the Radical Dreamers edition, and had a really good time with it overall. It's the first time I've replayed it in 25 years since it came out in the year 2000. And I had a good experience with it, but I will say, as a remaster, the backgrounds are pretty hard to look at, because I'm assuming Square just did not have those original assets anymore. Like they have been lost to time. So, I would love to see companies in that situation find a way to make it work, like whether that's AI upscaling, and I know AI is kind of a dirty word, but I think it's been used pretty remarkably to upscale images. So if you have an AI take a pass at it and then have some artists make it look really good, I would love to see that, because these games were beautiful. Like, I think it's easy to forget Chrono Cross was like the pinnacle of JRPG visually, musically, on the PlayStation 1. Like it was one of the last JRPGs on the system, and I would love for it to look as beautiful to me today as it did then.
And it can be done, because if you look at like Final Fantasy IX remaster that they did, or the port, whatever they did. No, well, hold on, 1 second. I'm getting to that. There's a mod that fans made, the Moguri mod, and it's the most pinnacle way to play that game at this point, because it makes it look incredible. They did what you said. They basically did a mixture of AI and actual like artist touch-ups for the background resolutions, and it looks beautiful. Like they give it like the widescreen look and everything. And it is the best version of that game.
Yeah.
And it sucks that fans have to do it for them.
Right. And it's always made me wonder why developers or publishers are hesitant to do things like that. Like if a fan group is doing it for free, how time intensive is it? And it could be very time intensive. I don't know. Like some fans are just like crazy and they will do amazing things for free, and it will take years of their lives. But I would love to see more care paid to that era of JRPGs, because there's some really good ones in that era, and they are the ones that hold up visually the least well, unfortunately.
I mean, for me, like I love pre-rendered backgrounds. I think that is like a lost art.
Yeah.
That we like, limitation breeds creativity.
Yeah.
And so like having pre-rendered backgrounds, like if we were to able, like I really want a renaissance of that, just in general.
Yeah.
If you had like 4K backgrounds that are like just most artistic, and then just have
Well,
them,
and we
kind
do-
of like Fantasian.
Yeah,
Like if
exactly,
you look
I
at
was
like
about to
that,
say.
like Fantasian is like the kind of a more newer version of that, what's using dioramas and stuff like that.
Right.
But like there's so much there, like let's say with like Parasite Eve and things like that, that would be amazing to see them kind of take a stab at that and make it actually pop.
I actually, well, there's a couple of things I was thinking of. I was thinking of like when you're talking about the remasters and how like the devs are playing with why like they don't put in like that extra effort. It's kind of like those weird instances where like a port happens, and then like Trails from Zero and to Azure, where it's like the Switch version is the better version, even though it's on PS4. It's like the weaker hardware, and so I think that's a funny anomaly of technically remasters, right? Like they're not titled, but it
Yeah,
is
they
a
were
notable.
they were remasters of the PSP originals.
Yeah,
technically,
exactly.
So, yeah.
The Vita.
But then we're talking about Fantasian, and I think Fantasian actually looked at. I think that Sakaguchi looked at how remasters have been like kind of making encounters less frequent, and then implemented that as a whole mechanic in Fantasian with the dimension battle things,
yeah.
where
Dimension,
the dimension to be like, hey, so we're gonna like take these enemies and put them in a thing, and then like over time, once they get full, then you can go in, you can just like knock them all out, and it makes it so that the encounters are less frequent, but you're still getting like the XP that you need to like proceed into the game, which I think is really was a cool idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of quality of life enhancements on the combat in particular, I think go a long way for a lot of these. And also just incorporating some modern elements we see in, newer games, like adding, like a little timeline to see like who moves next. This goes a long way for certain games. And
Yeah.
to
And I think like it's also an opportunity for publishers or devs to go back and kind of fix things that maybe, let's say that they had a budget crisis.
Right.
Like
Maybe their vision wasn't
I'll bring back
fully seen.
Xenogears for a moment. Like, you get disc 2 situation. It's an opportunity for them to go back and kind of remedy these situations.
Yeah, look at Xenoblade X too. They added, a bit at the end
Right.
to help give some closure for that story.
I'm all in favor of the devs making changes like that, with the caveat that I want it to be because the creators themselves wanted to do something but weren't able to, not because they got pressure
have
from
to. Yeah.
people
Put
in the
extra stuff in
community that are like, oh, I didn't like this thing. And it's like, if that was their vision, like, I'm okay with them keeping to their vision, you know what I mean? And like, if they want to make changes because they think that it needs to be done, that it should be done for artistic reasons, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
And I think that Takahashi-san, I think he would agree that like it would have been great if we could have done that whole disc 2 up, right?
I know.
Like it would have been nice, wouldn't it, to have
Yeah.
the second half of the game? Like I think he would be in favor of that. I
mean,
don't want to
he'd-
speak for the man, but I feel reasonably confident.
I feel he has a lot of feelings towards that, and
Yeah.
probably Xenosaga as well.
Probably.
Since
Yeah.
he was kicked off too.
He was kicked off his own.
Yeah, so he
thing.
probably has a lot of choice words for Namco and that whole situation.
Yeah.
But hey, third time's the charm, right? You get the third Xeno thing going, and
got it.
it's going right
He
now.
It's
nailed
going.
that formula. Yep, you got it.
I mean, he's figured out. He hit his stride.
Sweet.
But do
Well-
you guys have any remakes that you want to see
Oh my
in the
god.
future?
I mean, I
Like
feel-
you're,
Yeah.
in the sky, pie in the sky.
I know it's trite, but like I'd love to see Chrono Trigger brought back, and I would like it to be like we've said before, the examples of the games that have the original version playable in its original form, and then a remastered version. It doesn't have to be HD 2D. I know that's the go-to thing for the 16/32-bit look. I don't mind it. Like, some people are saying it's overplayed. There honestly haven't been that many games that have had it in the 9 years since the Switch came out. But I understand that sentiment, and I'm fine with it not being that. But I just would like to see Chrono Trigger. Like, it's crazy to me, right, that doesn't have a bigger presence within Square Enix. That they're not selling merch all the time. That
Right
they're
now.
not, like it almost seems like it's treated like this holy thing that can't be touched
They're probably afraid to touch it.
because
Yeah.
we might make people angry.
fans
It's
will
like,
attack.
give it a shot. I don't
Yeah.
know. Give it a shot.
Yeah, no, the lack of merch surprises me more because it's like that. I mean, that's just printing money. But I do think that in the remaster space, the remake space, there is a legitimate fear of like, how do we do that right? Because I mean, you talk to
Yeah.
anyone about like, whether or not it's your personal pick, that is kind of like the de facto like, oh, what's the best JRPG of all time? And like that comes in number one very, very, very often. It's kind of like it just has that reputation now, and how do you mess with that?
And the interesting thing, like we were having a conversation about this with some folks, and to people that didn't grow up playing it, they might play it and be like, oh, it's good, but it's not mind-blowing like it was for someone
Yeah.
who played it, when it came out, because the industry has moved forward, right? Like developers have learned lessons from Chrono Trigger and implemented those ideas into their games.
Yeah.
And so going back to that source is like, oh, you can still see that it's good, but it doesn't have that same impact.
Yeah, the term I always use for this is something that is groundbreaking is eventually broken ground.
Sure,
right? Like it's just like it's been done now.
Exactly, and doing a remaster or remake of that game to put it on the same level as modern games today, give a new generation of people that same feeling, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can attest to that because I played Chrono Trigger for the first time this year. I know.
Me too.
And yeah. And like, I totally can see why like it was, so profound at its time. But like, but when I finished, I was like, yeah, that was great. I wasn't like, wow, that was like the most incredible thing ever. But I was like, yeah, I totally understand why this is talked about the way that it is. You can realize something and recognize something without it being like one of your favorite games of all time. It's just but it also like really reminded me like just how older JRPGs were like designed in the sense of like, oh yeah, I need to like talk to everyone to really understand like what's going on in the world, because like nowadays it's just like it's directly fed to you, and it was really refreshing and to like be like, oh no, I got to figure out the story by like actually talking to these like random NPCs that are explaining like the events that happened in this town or this city, and so I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take a stab at games. I already talked about, there's plenty of games that never came out here. I think that's a lot of easy picking. If I'm picking one that, a remaster I'd like to see soon, that we haven't gotten yet, that has at least been released in some form, I think you might have name dropped this earlier, Dalla, but Breath of Fire, like 3 and 4 especially. Like 1 and 2, there's ways to play it right now. They have it on like Nintendo Switch Online, which is not the best long-term way of having something available. I need Nintendo to get a little better about this, but a lot better about it.
4's on GOG.
Huh?
4's on GOG now.
Oh,
4's on GOG.
4's on GOG. Yeah, they
Yes.
skipped 3 and went right. Yes, but that is wonderful, and I'm hoping that also comes to some other platforms as well. But GOG alone is beautiful that happened, and I need
worked out.
them to do it for 3 as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to go back and kind of touch upon the remake, like let's say Chrono Trigger.
Sure.
And I feel like the difficult situation, especially if you look at Square Enix, is that they have this like understanding that they need to make everything a $300 or $400 million project, and then be very sad that it doesn't make the money that they expect it to make. And so like you get these like really AAA games like this, Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth. For me, the sweet spot would probably be doing similar games like Trials of Mana.
Sure.
Like that is a AA style graphics.
Yeah.
But it looks stylized, so it really scales well to different platforms and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing. I think the challenge that these developers or especially with Square Enix is hitting is that they're trying to make things bigger than they need to kind of pull people in.
It looks good and it plays good. Like AA is, for me at least right now, AA is like the sweet spot where the most interesting things are happening in the JRPG space. So if we were to take these older games, say Breath of Fire 3 or 4, and give them that sort of AA treatment and put care and love into the project and not just a quick cash grab sort of situation, right? Like then I think you actually do have the possibility of making a really meaningful impact with these games.
Yeah. I'm going to steal some more time, though. It's because I want to talk about two things I want to see. Well, first off, I really want to see PS2 games start to kind of come
Shadow
back
Hearts.
into the ether.
Yes.
Huh?
Shadow Hearts.
Definitely Shadow Hearts.
Yes.
But I'm not going to talk about that one specifically. I want to talk about Radiata Stories.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's like one of those games that came out at the tail end of the PS2 life cycle. So no one really played it. And it's honestly one of the most beautiful PS2 games out there. I mean, we had widescreen mode, progressive mode, so it was just beautiful. And so that would easily be remastered. Like you can easily scale that up to 4K and make it look good. And it's a game that deserves a lot more attention in general because it had it was just a fun, witty, character-driven kind of like narrative that I think more people need to get access to.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like
That was a late PS2.
Oh, very late. Yeah. So like
A lot
that
of people
one.
missed it, including me.
Yeah. I don't know if any of you guys played that.
Oh yeah, no, we talked about this. Remember, it was the when we did the underappreciated.
Oh, yeah.
That was my pick, and you were like,
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah.
I had this ready too."
That's true.
Like, yeah, no, radio. I think I have my issues with it, but it's one of those games where it's like I always argue about. I think there are games that are like 7s that I love more than plenty of 9s and 10s
Yeah.
because they
That's-
have
yeah.
flaws, but the things that are interesting and unique and different about them have
memorable.
such far like lasting impressions on me.
Yes.
Right?
I know.
Yes.
And that's like radio has its problems. We talked about the one
Yeah.
plot one that killed me,
I
but
know.
the it is there's not really anything quite like it on the market later.
Like it was a very interesting design choice. Like it's kind of got that Suikoden style where you can kind of recruit anybody and like recruit people, but you can recruit literally anyone in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing that really stands out to me actually is the very living city concept is because when you're
Exactly.
outside of like main story missions and stuff you have to do, there's just a 24-hour clock life cycle in a city that you wander around in real time. It's not like, 1 second to 1 second real world
Yeah.
time, but you have to like pay attention to people's schedules, and there's like the way to recruit some people is you find them in need at a certain time of day in a certain place, and like even though there is that kind of like Groundhog Day feeling of how
Yeah.
schedules are repeating time and time again, I thought it was a very interesting, cool concept of like bringing a city to life. That because that's always my complaint in a lot of JRPGs is I feel like big cities don't feel like big cities very often.
Exactly.
Right? It's like, oh, here's the one street in the
Get a little
biggest
slice.
in the capital of the continent.
Yeah,
It's like-
exactly.
and the way that brought to life its world, I think, was so cool.
And you can get the weirdest people to like join your battles. Like this, it's the most. It's just an eclectic group of situations. So like, yeah, that's a game I really want to see.
This is now a Radio Out of Stories panel.
Yeah, we're gonna change this. I'm gonna just gush
I
about
am
this.
ashamed to say I did not play it.
I know you didn't. It's offended me multiple times, and we've talked about this. Another one, I think. I'm just gonna be selfish. I'm just gonna take up all this time, guys. I'm sorry.
You're
Damn.
going to steal our time?
I'm sorry. Because I have a lot to say. But
Say it.
It's a selfish.
You're a panelist.
Come
so
on,
you should
come
I
on,
say
know.
it.
I just want to be selfish about it because there's a game I want to play, but I don't
It's
want
a game you want to play?
Yeah, and I don't
Tokyo
want to.
Mirage Session, Sharp FE Encore?
No.
I played it,
I
it's
have
great.
that. I've
You
already
should play
played
It's
it.
great.
It's great.
I've
Super
played it.
underrated, guys. Please
It's
play
great.
Tokyo Mirage Session, Sharp FE Encore.
It's a
It's
great
good.
game. I played it. But Radiant Historia.
Yes.
Because that's a game, I don't know why, but I never picked it up on the DS, and then for some reason I didn't pick it up on the 3DS, and then now here I am sitting here going like, I just don't want to play it on either of those. I want to play it on like the Switch or something.
It's
Yeah.
amazing on the 3DS.
I know, I'm sure it is.
It
but
is, yeah,
but
like one of the
my
better-
3DS broke, and I'm not going to pay like $400 for a new 3DS right now.
Actually, one of the
This market.
better, like, low-key, brilliant remasters was Radiant Historia to Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology for the 3DS. Like, it was just not that big of an upgrade in terms of the graphics, but just like the presentation, and
Yeah.
it's just like it's one of the best. It's so good.
I think all of those Atlas remasters on 3DS are so good, like the Devil Survivor
Yes.
games,
Yes.
which
Yes.
yeah, those like I think genuinely like just
Yeah.
need to be on more platforms, like in a
Agreed.
bigger audience, because I think a lot of people would really dig it.
The
It's
edgy
basically
novelty
like
too.
SRPG Persona-esque like
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of vibe. So I think people would really be attached to that one. But and then like Strange Journey has its whole like
Yes.
horror elements, which you don't really see a lot in JRPGs, which is super refreshing. So yeah, all of them are really great.
All right, I'm going to stop now.
Should I just list off all mine now?
Well,
No,
But,
yeah.
What I'm looking forward to is when I eventually get a Switch to, is NSO is going to have Path of Radiance on NSO.
Yes,
So
dog.
that's very good. And they're going to probably have the rewind function, I imagine. But it sucks it's stuck on there. I would like it, a nice full remaster and also have the second part that was on the Wii, Radiance Dawn, to be, a nice complete story.
Seems like a
That's-
no-brainer for a
No
double
brainer.
pack
Yeah.
No
remaster,
brainer.
right? Like,
That's kind of the rough part of NSO now is that like, especially now that GameCube is on it, it's just like, oh, if we see a game pop up on NSO, like the pipe dreams of any sort of remaster is just out the window. Like
Yeah.
I was really hoping on the Switch we were going to get a Path of, like a Radiant duology.
Yep,
And
same.
now I'm like, nope, probably not going to happen ever.
Though
I
it
tend
could
to-
happen. Like, look at
yeah, maybe.
Link's Awakening. I don't know.
I tend to view it when a game shows up there as the company explicitly saying or implicitly saying, it's not going to happen.
Yep.
Here's your consolation prize,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
So one that may happen, I would like to happen, would be Skies of Arcadia.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Great
Yeah.
pick.
So
And I'd love them to do the Dreamcast version.
Not the
if they can-
GameCube
yeah,
version.
not
There were
the
some
GameCube.
issues with that. Yeah.
I mean, it was
Or at
really
least
just
take the
audio.
GameCube version and add the soundtrack or like the
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
quality
you
of
know,
the
take
soundtrack
the good
of
stuff
the
from the
Dreamcast.
Yeah,
A nice
GameCube
fusion of
content, Dreamcast
Just
audio.
kind of mesh that
Yeah,
together.
I'll be
yeah.
into that.
Yeah.
You're
I'm with you.
Oh man, I'm trying to think now. We were talking about so many things, and now I just
did.
don't. I mean, I think that I think one that I would be curious about, like if it would be a remaster and what that would look like, is Legend of Dragoon, just because it had, you know, the battle speed increase has been like one of the defining factors of a JRPG remaster. It's like that doesn't really work this time
Yeah.
around in this one. So, what kind of quality of life improvements would they be able to implement outside of just like it looks prettier and you know that would make it like worthwhile?
You do 5x damage or something, right? Like that's the only way they could speed up the battles without literally speeding up the battles.
That would be wild.
That's an
Yeah.
interesting one because like that's on the classics, like the PlayStation Classics
Yeah.
right
You
now.
You can
You can
get
play
it on
it,
like
yeah.
You
PS5.
can play it, but it's not really optimal
It's,
because of
it's an emulation, basically.
It's emulation.
Yeah,
emulation.
and also with like the success of Expedition 33, I feel like, you know, they definitely got inspiration from Legend of Dragoon with that type of combat. That like, I'm sure Sony's like looking like, hey, we have this IP that we haven't touched in
No,
30 years.
Sony's not looking.
There's an alt timeline I always dream about where PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale was actually good, and the Dart DLC like released because that was one of the next characters they were working
Oh,
on. Like,
really?
yeah, there are like files of how that was a work in progress, and then they just cut off all support, and like that could have been the second coming. It wasn't gonna be, but I dream. I dream.
Yeah, but especially because like the classics version, like it's emulation. The one problem with that is that that game is timed,
And time
time button
presses.
presses,
Yeah.
and so you get that like inherent lag that comes with like emulation, software emulation in general, which makes it not very fun to get the timing right.
Yeah.
At least
It's a
for
little
me,
more rough, yeah,
it's a little off
yeah.
between that and like the TV screens. Like,
That's why we want Shadow Hearts Covenant too.
I mean, yeah,
To
we,
also have
we
a
mentioned that
remaster.
Shadow Hearts, like
So-
those three games have just been
We don't
locked
like
away.
emulating those.
Yeah, and Kodoka, like
And
the whole
Kodoka,
set,
yeah.
the whole set.
All those.
Yeah, and like that goes into like the horror aspect. Well, Kodoka more so. We need more horror JRPGs.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
The biggest horror in Kodelka was how slow the battles were. I'm sorry, shots fired. No, it's good though. It's a good game.
But yeah, I like if I honestly picked something like it would have been the Radiant duology. Like that's something that
We're on
I've
the same
want.
page.
Yeah, that once Tokyo Mirage Sessions got ported, I was just because I never thought that was going to happen, and that happened really early in the
It
Switch
did, it did.
life cycle. That was like the next thing. I was just every Nintendo Direct, I had my clown suit on, being like, all right, let's wait for this. Same thing with semi-related, but like every Pokemon Presents, I'm like, maybe we'll get a Pokemon Pinball announcement. Nope.
Yeah, no.
You know,
But at
because
least
it
we're
makes
getting-
so much sense. Anyway.
We're getting some good like remasters and remakes though. You know, coming out very soon. The Sky remaster
Yeah,
for Trails.
Sky remake looks incredible.
Looks so good.
Has anyone played the demo for that yet?
The demo.
Demo?
Yeah.
Demo. It's amazing.
Trails
I
in the Sky?
Recommend playing it.
Yeah, if you haven't played it, go play it.
Yeah, I think like that game is, except for Kevin because he hasn't played it. Boo this man, boo. No,
I made a promise I was going to finish the original Trails before the remake dropped, and that timer is. I forgot to bring my Steam Deck here.
I'm
Counting
blindly.
down.
I am
Counting
blindly
down.
going to say that like out of the other four of us, like that game is the original's like probably in our top 25 favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
It's like it's number 5 for me on
Yeah,
my
it's
top
the
10. And so like that is a series that deserves so much like more credit than it gets. That if you have not played the Trail series, like.
And you know
please.
that Falcom is confident in this game because they dropped the demo is just a huge chunk, like a 7-hour chunk
Yeah.
of the
Yeah,
game
it's the whole
a
prologue.
month in advance.
Yeah.
They're
Exactly.
like, we got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they basically confirmed second chapter's coming out next year. So
Yeah, it's
Next year? Oh
You see
man,
that?
breaking news! Holy crap!
basically confirmed it.
But yeah, any closing remarks? We got 2 minutes left, so I just want to give everyone a chance to say one last thing before we call it.
There's a lot of good in remasters and remakes, and I really appreciate when a company takes the time to make them good, make them do justice to the game that they are revitalizing.
Yeah. I would say my big thing is just that, I think we're in an era where there's a little bit more, things are usually more forwards compatible friendly, and I hope that, I know some people get tired of remasters all the time, but hopefully these are the ones that actually can remain for a while, and we don't need to see it re-released because another digital storefront opens up with unique things.
Yeah, especially in the current state of physical.
Yeah, and especially as just being physical collectors. Like, hey, I'm glad I have a copy. I don't want to really buy it again like 2 generations down the line.
We don't want another Last of Us.
Yeah, we don't need a Last of Us situation.
But yeah, honestly, I think we are in a renaissance of remasters right now. I just want to see it continue to happen and continue to kind of give us the opportunity for more of these games, especially the Xenosaga games. Just do it.
Just slip it in
do
there.
I'll buy it. I'd buy it.
I will too. And yeah, looking forward to so many great experiences ahead of us for those who missed out on, the originals, and to see them with like a fresh coat of paint. Be very rewarding.
Yeah. Ditto. And what everyone else said, like, I just think that we're in a really great, we're eating every year. Like,
Eating
as
well.
someone who works in games media, and I just hear people say, like, oh, there's not a whole lot going on. I'm like, y'all, the past, 5 years, JRPG fans
JRPGs?
have been absolutely feasting. Just because you don't play JRPGs does not mean that there aren't good games. So thank you, everybody. That is the end of our panel. We appreciate you for stopping by, especially on the last day of PAX. We hope you have a good rest of your day. Yes, please, one more time, QR code. Please follow us on all the things. We really appreciate the support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye. Everyone get home safe.
Yes, get home safe, drive safe.